Hello and welcome to another Nordic Takedown YouTube video, Nordic Takedown podcast even, YouTube video. I'm sitting here today after I've been playing the Malmö Open Qualifier last weekend. It's actually 6 days from now ago. Should probably have done this before, but we had a podcast to be made and I was tired and a lot of other things. So here is my takedown on this tournament that me and Jonah from the podcast went to. We also had Matthias there as the head judge. We had Victor casting it all day with a bunch of different people, Jason involved. So big thank you everyone for making that happen, and big thank you for everyone that showed up, even though it was what would you say, Milano the same week. So not 550 players showed up in Malmö, but 37 strong from Denmark, Sweden and Norway. I think that was the three countries that was involved. Oh, of course, and England as well. Specky joined in as well. So it was still an international tournament in a sense. So since it was 37 players, we have 6 rounds of Swiss and a top 8. So what is that? Did I decide to go with? Like, everyone knew that Django was going to be a big problem. I thought that Quinlan Tarkentown was going to be the answer, right? Not necessarily like a counter, but I thought it was going to be strong enough to be competitive with Django. I thought it has a good matchup into the Piet decks because you can go for the discard. You can also add in Shamsin Dullah for ramp. So you need to just make sure you don't get Turbo Laser salvoed too horrendously. And you should be able to close those games out. It works also pretty good into Sabine. It's not loving Han, but I think Han... I am one of the few Han players in Sweden, and I didn't think Han... I for a fact think it's a bad matchup into Django, so I was not considering Han for this tournament, and I suspected no one would. I don't think there was a single Han one at the event, so that was a correct assessment. So there was basically no really bad matchups for Quinlan, in my opinion. To go in now when we have this harder discard package, I felt pretty comfortable into control as well. That being said, I thought that the Django matchup was better than it was. I think it was a sloppy testing, not testing it against quality Django players. So I wouldn't give it... I thought maybe I was favored before. Now I'd say I'm slightly unfavored with chances to win, especially in 2 and 3. I thought Commandeer would be like this punch in the gut, and it can be, but it's not like tilting it like all the way over for Quinlan. So yeah, so this is basically the list. It's not that spicy in a sense. It's maybe people think it's a little bit spicy to go Red Squadron Y Wing over Green Squadron A Wing. But the reason is that I think they have the same weaknesses. They get hit when they get hit. They traded badly. A-Wing has a strong thing that he can puts out kill a 3-cost unit. This one can't. But a lot of the times you play this ping, remove the opponents, and then it's like 4 damage going in next round. Or if they go ground, you put them on space, and you're still hitting for 4 because they don't want to take damage on their units, because then you can target down them. So that I think the Red Squadron A worked fine, but even better, I thought Grogu was amazing in this tournament. Very good in turn 1 and turn 2. Sometimes you go a 2-drop and then into Grogu 4th throw, for example. That'd been really good. Ahsoka was MVP, and of course Plo Koon was amazing as well. Yeah. This is basically the deck. I'm going to go through a little bit of changes later in the video that I would consider. So the big 3 of the Malmö meta turned out to be Django Fett, Quinlan Vos, and Admiral Piet. That was the majority of the decks. Not saying that every one of these performed the highest, but this was the big portion in my opinion. I don't have the data, but that's how it looked when I went around. So not necessarily like saying these were the best 3 performing decks, because then I think there was actually definitely a case to be made for Boba Yellow, Boba 2 Yellow, or is it Boba 3? I can't remember how many Bobas, but I think it's Boba 2 Yellow, the new one at least, with all the indirect damage, because we had 2 on the top tables going into the Swiss to the top cut, and only 1 Piet made it there. So after all, so as everyone predicted, Django was going to be there. It was a little bit more Piet than I thought, and a little bit more Quinlan. I thought it was going to be a little more diverse on that part, and maybe even more Django, but I still think it was close to 25%, just like in Milano. So this is how my Swiss run went. I started with a Django Tarkin Town. I did beat him 2-0, felt very comfortable. I thought that, hey, the preparation was right. This is good. I can outplay them. Then I went up against another Django Tarkin Town in the round 2. Actually, the same guy that I shout out to Fortep, Piotr. We played the final of the planetary qualifier in Stockholm, 64 players. Then I was at Han Yellow, and he was a Django as well. Was set 3 meta. I ended up winning that 2-0. But he completely stomped me here in the Swiss round. It was not close. Game 1 was competitive at least, but game 2 was a complete blowout, which made me reevaluate a lot. Like, have I just been practicing against not that good Djangos, and when I go up against a really good Django, it's very bad of a matchup? So I was a little bit disheartened after that loss, because I felt like, okay, now I can't win the tournament, because this guy is going to do that probably. That was how I felt already after round 2. But there was a great prize pool here at the event. So even going top 16, you got something. I think you got like half a booster box for just top 16. So, and a whole booster for top 8, and I think it was 2 boosters boxes or something for top 4, plus a carbonite booster. Not a completely booster box, but a booster, and then also a ticket from Malmö game week. So it was not like any time to give up. Went up against Han 2 Blue, which apparently is a good matchup for Quinlan. I had not practiced it at all. The player piloting that only lost 2 games that day, both to the Quinlan Tarkin Towns that made the top cut. Unfortunately for him, he ended up in 9th. Very sad. Then I got up to Piet Blue, which was unfortunately not Colossus. Colossus decks are amazing for Django. No, sorry, not Django. For Quinlan, because we have such a big discard package, which means it's starting with 1 less card is really bad against us, but it's good against every other deck. Not every other deck, but every other aggro deck. But he had gone on 30 HP base. I lost game 1. Did the sideboarding in with Cham, in with the stuff, and then managed to take the 2 games afterwards. He actually made the cut as a number 8 seed, the only 4 and 2 later. Then I got and that was actually an up pair as well. He was undefeated at that point. Then I got a Sash 2 red. I got a down pair in the next round. And this was against a fairly new player, so a great result for him. I think he went 3-2-1 on the day. A guy from Norway, really nice. We had lunch before, and then we come back, and then we faced. But that was a 2-0 was fairly easy. I had actually played a little bit against Asaj, not because anyone I know played, but just it shows up, so I knew a little bit of what it was doing, even though. I went for the discard and tried to remove his Pershing, and he said that was the right choice, of course. That was his card draw, and that's one way that he actually won the games during the day, was to keep Pershing out. So yep, that was that. Then last round, got up against a Django Tarkin Town again. We had done the math since we were a 37 player tournament, 8 player go up, for 1-on-1 was guaranteed. So neither of us wanted to take the chance to maybe knock the other one out. So we just drew and both went into the top cut, basically. But 50% of my matchups in Swiss was actually Django. So a lot more than was the meta. Especially considering that I got 2 in the first rounds. I guess that made my easier not to face them in the end, I guess. But so into the top cut, got to face one of the Boba Yellows. There was actually 2 of them going to 4-0. Then they drew, and then the other guy drew again. And this guy that I faced actually chose, or him or his opponent chose to play the last round, which he lost, which meant that he ended up 4th in Swiss and I ended up 5th. So that's why we faced. Boba Yellow is a really good matchup for Quinlan Target Down. We have a lot of big booties, like especially like with these 3/5s, we can play a tech or a DJ or a Slay 1 on turn 1. And this guy just wants to pile on indirect and actually like has a trouble finish off units, unless they have like daring raids and stuff. He played really well, especially in game 1. He closed that short. He needed to get, I think it was a Devastator or something, and he got it. But he played it really well. Game 2, I started off horrendously, didn't get a drop, had to play S round turn 2, and just watch him smack me because he dropped 2 2-1s, and the first of the Stormtrooper in turn 1, and then dropped something more on turn 2. It was rough, but I came back because of a double force throw and daring raid and made him go into top deck mode, and I could close out. So went into the semifinals after beating that into a Quinlan Target on Mirror, which I was fairly confident in. In my practice, I basically win almost all of these games. Very impressed about my opponent here. He played very well, especially from going first. He wanted to go first himself. So he actually went first all 3 games, and I went second all 3. And I think he was in the position to win 2 of the 3. He made a mistake in game 3, wanted to push damage, and left an option for me to go and win it. I got smuggled up a Cassian, which he could have killed but chose not to, and went for base. I had a surprise strike on hand, did 6 damage, and then I top decked a surprise strike next round to finish him off. Like I had done 13 or something, and then I managed to do 12 in 2 strikes with 1 unit. Very close. I think he might have played better over the course of the 3 games, but the mistake he made was costly. I misplayed in game 2 a lot, so that's when he won. Wasn't a clean day at all for me. Played a lot of mistakes. And then I got Django Torgentown in the final. Actually, the same guy. It was Piotr Fortep that smashed me in the Swiss rounds. But it seems to be like that I have a little bit more fortunate when it comes to finals. It's the 3rd final in Swedish tournaments we have played. And it's the 3rd time I think I win 2-0. I managed to steal game 1. He had it. It looked like he had it, but like I made a comeback. And in game 2, it felt like I just got what I needed, and the game 2 was not that competitive. All these games were actually on stream, so if you want to watch them back, it was actually me on the stream all the way to the final. So you can watch that playoff run. Basically, we wanted to, like, we knew there was going to be a lot of streams on Django in Milano, and it was going to be like we had a few in the Swiss run, so we chose to not do so much Django for the top cut. So there it was. I took home this tournament. I would say I played a lot more sloppy than I did in the Oslo and Stockholm PQ. My preparation was a little bit sloppy, and I have to do a lot better on that preparation part if I want to win the Cantina Brawl on 12th of April, where there is even more at stake, especially for winning, since there is 3 Carbonite boxes for the first place. But I did win some prizes here. It was 2 GTL boxes, 1 SOR box, 1 Shadow box, 1 Twilight box, 1 Carbonite booster, not a box, and 1 ticket for the Malmö Game Week. So This is roughly worth around 400 euros, which is pretty nice for a 37 player event. So I'm very happy. Made a little bit of income on this trip. Really nice. Also shout out to Mikael that I traveled with, who was the only Sabine player in the whole tournament who made top 8. So some takeaways here, and maybe changes that I would make for the Quinlan Target Town. One takeaway was that I had sloppy play and sloppy preparation and felt like I maybe shouldn't have won this. I won a little bit on that. Others were also a little bit sloppy in their plays or greedy. But I had made assumption that the Django players in Europe would stop play the 1-drops, because I felt like those were bad for the matchup, the mirror matchup. But they didn't, so there was a lot of 1-drops. So in Europe, the Django players have basically said that if you can't answer my double 2-drop, I'm just going to win. So they forced you to have an answer, and they have an answer to their 2-drop, so it's not the end of the world. It gives you an extra edge if the other person can't answer it. Which means that I would, with this knowledge, I would have added some 1-drops. I would have added maybe 3 to the main deck and 3 to the sideboard to be able to combat Django even harder. And these are the 3 1-drops I would mainly consider. It's R2 for the scrying opportunity. The other R2 is because he can also go on a pilot and he could also be fairly he can pilot in turn 1, so you can make a big unit so it doesn't die to an ECL blast on the space. But I personally think that for removing 3 early drops, I would have removed the 3 spaceships, so that middle R2 is not of my preference. I know some people will like to play 3 green Squadron A-Wings and 3 the Y-Wing that I have. Then that R2 becomes a lot more appealing to me if you go that route. And then of course Guido, I think he's awesome just in Django, so I think maybe one of the R2 depending on how you build the deck in the main board, and then you have 3 Guidos in the sideboard that you can put in, and then you have 6 1-drops for the Django together with the Crafty Smuggler and the L3, because those are also pretty good against Django, because Django hates shields. So that is basically my takeaway of the tournament. I think Quinlan is well positioned right now. We will see if after Liverpool and Denver, if they make changes to the meta that makes it worse. I am pretty sure that Quinlan is going to be stable no matter what, because I think he can combat the control decks a lot better than he did before. And he still has like this, he has a solid matchup into Sabine, if Sabine were ever to come back. So Quinlan definitely a good choice if you want to try out something new, and something that I don't think will get touched really by the design team, not in this set. So Quinlan could be your deck if you want to play one deck all the set and don't be scared about any changes. All right. Thank you for watching this video, and I'm looking forward to see a lot of you in the Cantina Brawl in Skövde. And until then, may the force be with you.